morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we get into today's video, March is here, and that means another campaign from Huawei App Gallery. So Huawei App Gallery are doing 30% discount on the premium battle pass. Yes, you can get the battle pass for 30% cheaper. On top of that, you will get 10% points back onto your App Gallery account with your first purchase. So you buy something in the game, you will get 10% of that back on your Huawei app account that you could use for anything in the game. It is very, very simple to do. All you need to do is download Huawei App Gallery, then download WhatBlitz from that app gallery, and then just head over to this this page here and claim the coupon. Now, this coupon runs from the 1st of March, which was yesterday, to the 24th of March. So it is very, very simple to do. All you need to do is download Huawei App Gallery, click on the links in the description, and then you will be on for 30% discount. Hope you enjoy. Back to today's video. Today we are going to look at two tanks that have been rebalanced. Now, have Wargaming ruined these tanks? Now, I've called for a long time, since these tanks were first introduced into the game, I've called for these tanks to be nerfed. A lot of people won't agree with that because they enjoyed the tank, and that's, you know, it's understandable in a way, because people enjoy playing the tanks because they were OP. Of course, people are going to enjoy playing OP tanks. But Wargaming nerfed them. Wargaming have nerfed them. Now, one thing in particular that they have nerfed is the new equipment mechanic thing that they have got. Now, these tanks are unique because they are the only tanks in the game to have this new equipment. So they've decided to nerf the equipment, which this equipment right here, the improved suspension. Now, my first ever video of this tank was to say, basically saying, do not run this equipment, but use this equipment because you get 9 degrees of gun depression. So using this equipment, you gain 3 degrees of gun depression. And with the kind of armor profile, the turret that this tank has got, 9 degrees is absolutely massive. But then after playing it, I didn't even really look at this improved suspension one. People told me I was wrong. I went to play it with the new improved suspension, and oh my god, this tank was insane. It was a medium. It was basically a medium. It maneuvered very, very well. The traverse was just absolutely amazing, and then obviously that is what made this tank really, really, really strong. Along with the armor profile, the turret armor, the DPM is okay. It was very, very strong. So Wargaming nerfed it. Wargaming have nerfed this improved suspension. So now you only get, you're getting 2 degrees of average speed. The whole turn rate is 7 degrees. The terrain crossing capacity is 26 on the road, and ground is 23, and the water is 16. So it's not as good as it was. Now, because they've nerfed this tank, is it still worth playing it with this improved suspension? So we're going to have a look, and we're going to look into some battles. One battle that I played and one battle in the Type 68. So both tanks are pretty similar. Both tanks are pretty similar. They've both been nerfed, and we're going to talk about, is it worth still grinding the tank? Is the tank still good? Is the tank still good? And what equipment should you run when you are playing this tank? So as you can see, we are in the Type 71. So the top speed, the speed is really, really good, but you can really feel the traverse, because before you could have mediums in front and you could wiggle like mad. You could absolutely wiggle like mad, but you can't really do that anymore. You can't really wiggle as much as you can. Some people, again, will disagree with me. Some people will still think that running this is really, really good. Yes, it's been nerfed, but it is still a strong tank. However, what I'm probably going to say is, because Wargaming really have nerfed that equipment, I would actually go to as far as saying I don't think it is worth running this equipment now, because it doesn't make it massively different. It doesn't make it massively different to what it is, as I've already shown you the stats. So it doesn't go up massively. So I would actually go as far as saying, do not run it with this equipment anymore. You benefit more when you are running the 9 degrees of gun depression. I mean, look at the traverse. It does feel really, really slow as we are turning. So we are going to get shot from the Ritter. He can pen me. I can't move. Where usually in them kind of situations, you would wiggle. Even if you're in the open, you would just wiggle your tank and it will become a very, very difficult pen. But since the nerf, it's not a difficult pen anymore, because you can't move half as quick than you used to be able to move. So yeah, it doesn't. I personally, I mean, you might think differently, but me personally, when I have been playing this tank, I haven't felt the difference. I haven't felt the difference of running it with the equipment or not. So I am actually running it with the equipment for this video, just so you can see the difference to what it used to be. But honestly, 9 degrees of gun depression, it actually sounds very nice now, where before 9 degrees of gun depression, you didn't even batter an eyelid, because it was like, no, I don't want 9 degrees of gun depression. I'd rather have 6 degrees and have the traverse and the mobility and the way it maneuvers over the gun depression. 100% I would prefer that. But now the gun depression, it's because it feels quite slow now, you're not really gaining anything. So you might as well gain an extra 3 degrees of gun depression. You might as well get yourself on a ridge and gain that 3 degrees of gun depression, because it still has a fantastic turret. It still has an amazing turret. And that Yo, unfortunately, just got ripped apart. Unlucky for that guy. So we are going to kill the Jaegeru here. And as you can see, like, we're trying to turn, and you can't turn as much. Of course, you still have the good armor profile. You do still have a good armor profile that you are able to get the bounces, which we were able to do here. 1500 bounce block damage is still very, very acceptable. However, again, I personally, again, you might feel differently. You might feel differently about it, but just me personally playing it and experiencing the tank after the nerf, then just 100% for both tanks, I would suggest trying it. Just try. If you've been running the improved suspension equipment all this time, then just give it a go. Because I can only tell you from my experience. I can't sit there and say to you, you guys have to run the 9 degrees of gun depression, because it's much, much better. You still might get on with the improved suspension, how it is now. So you just need to give it a go yourself. And like me personally, I gave it a go and thought, yeah, it doesn't really fit me. I prefer it with the 9 degrees of gun depression. You still might prefer it with that little bit of mobility, or the extra that it's got with the improved suspension, but I don't. I gain more having 3 degrees of gun depression than I do with the suspension. So, and again, like I said, that's just my personal opinion, because 9 degrees gun depression for a tier 10 tank is amazing. It really is amazing to have all that gun depression when you've got a turret like this. Yes, this tank here does have that little hatch on top, but when you're using 9 degrees of gun depression, you can actually easily hide that hatch, and it's going to be a very, very, very difficult pen if you're using that full 9 degrees of gun depression. And on top of that, you don't have to expose your tank as long as you would if you've only got 6 degrees of gun depression. So just give it a go. Just give it a go. If you haven't used the gun depression enhanced one with the 9 degrees, then just give it a go, because from 6 degrees to 9 degrees, even though it doesn't sound a lot, it is. 3 degrees is massive. I mean, 3 degrees on something maybe like a Leopard 1 or something like that, yeah, it won't feel that much different because you've got no armor. However, with a tank like this, and the Type 71, you really can feel the difference. So back to the title of the film. Is it ruined? Ruined. Have Wargaming ruined this tank? Now, it's a tough one. For me, they've ruined the equipment, but they haven't ruined the tank, because it still has that. I mean, if you play it with the 9 degrees of gun depression anyway, if you didn't ever run it with the improved suspension, then you won't really feel a difference. So in that sense, no, they haven't ruined the tank because they haven't really touched the tank. They haven't really made the tank any worse than it was, or any sort of. They have really only changed the equipment on it. So if you do run the tank without the improved suspension, then you won't feel a difference. But if you are one of those guys that only play this tank with the improved suspension, then you really will feel the difference. So you will think that the tank is completely ruined. So it's a yes and a no. The tank is the tank now, or the tanks, not just the Type 71, but the Type 68 as well. Are the tanks ruined? No. Is the equipment ruined? Yes. But on that note, we keep going on about how strong this tank was. So yes, it did need a nerf. It did need a nerf. Will I have nerfed the equipment? Probably not. You know, the equipment is there. It's new. It's nice to have a tank with a different equipment, so all tanks don't have the same thing. And I hope Wargaming do more of this. You know, different tanks, new tanks come into the game and they have their own set equipment, something that's different to the rest. So to nerf the equipment rather than the tank, I think maybe they could have nerfed the tank a little bit, but keep the improved suspension as it is. Because right now, I think a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but I think a lot of people will now prefer to run it with the 9 degrees of gun depression than the improved suspension. So I just think that, I just feel that I do think they nerfed the improved suspension a bit too much, because it does feel very, very sluggish now. I just think maybe they could have nerfed something else. Rather than the equipment, they could have nerfed a little bit of the tank instead. But that, again, is just my opinion. My opinion might not mean nothing to you guys. I can only talk about how I feel about the tank. I can't talk about how you guys feel, but that's just my opinion. So let me know your thoughts. Have you played it with the new improved suspension? Now it's been nerfed. Do you feel a massive difference? Have you now swapped over to the gun depression instead of the suspension? Let me know in the comments below. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.